Hello, everyone, dear the House of Tauro members. I hope that you have a nice day today and you are ready to have an outstanding evening with the very great conversation. Benvenuti ai nostri ascoltatori italiani and добро пожаловать всех русскоязычных слушателей из всего мира. So today, let me represent our guest. And our guest is Francesco Cochetti. And he is one of the FCI's leading judges and is globally sought after for his expert opinion, as he is still very actively involved in the world of pedigree dogs as an extremely successful breeder of well over, listen now, 500 homebreed champions. His breed lectures on the Chihuahua, Jack Russell, Poodles, and some other native Italian breeds are very much appreciated all over the world. You know, the saying goes, if you want to learn to be the best, you need to follow someone who has been constantly successful, and that is something our esteemed Italian pedigree dog lover certainly is. You know, we're extremely proud to have an opportunity to interview this master breeder, to tap into his rich wealth of experience, to find out firsthand his views on breeding theories and practices that have led to his extraordinary success. So, Mr. Francesco Cochetti, welcome to our...
Thank you very much. You said too much, absolutely too much. I'm a normal people with a lot of passion for dogs, and this is me, not any special one, but a lover, a dog lover.
Okay, so as for a normal person, I will give you a few very normal and very simple questions. There are probably most of the people, they already know you or at least recognize you, but probably let's benefit those who perhaps doesn't know you. Can you please tell us about yourself a little bit and your involvement in pedigree dogs? And let's begin how everything started.
Yeah, but it was quite a natural way, I can say, because I born in a dog family, and my father and mother, they had both dogs since they met each other. My father started with English Cockers and my mother with Poodles. But then, of course, I think my mother was quite strong to decide to convince my father to go for Poodles. So they established their own kennel, Della Perla Grigia, in the beginning of the 70, and it was mainly at that time it was not the toy sites in Poodles, it was the sites, the dwarf sites, so they were breeding mainly silver. And then in the end of the 70s, when the apricot color, it was apricot, nowadays we call it fawn in Poodles, where it is apricot and red, both colors together. They were the first to import apricot Poodles in Italy. Oh. So of course I was born with Poodles, and it was for me quite natural. It was, you know, my way was already decided, and in the natural way I was following them to the shows, and then I started also to do ring steward to my father when he was judging, because he was also judge. And then I had the pleasure, and I was so lucky to meet my mentor, which was Tina Violi Gussoni, an all-rounder Italian judge who was at that time vice president of the Italian Kennel Club and president of the Toy Dog Club. So through her, I become later also my career for judging. But I started also to breed myself, and I started with poodles in 1984. I had my own prefix, di San Gimignano, and so it was this way, was family. And then of course I think because I have myself two daughters, but me and my wife, we never have forced them to continuing or to be involved in dogs. So it is a decision that then come if you really want. You have the, of course, you have easy way because somebody else started already the process, so it's quite easy for it was easy for me.
Okay. So you mentioned poodles, but what breeds now you are very actively involved in?
Well, we are still active in poodles, but I have to say that my life as a breeder changed a lot when I met my wife in 1995. My wife was already a successful breeder in Finland of Chihuahuas under prefix Misty Meadows. And even I have to say that I really didn't like the breed because for me, okay, it was, I don't know, it was Chihuahua, the smallest breed. I never thought they could have so big personality and so really a strong temperament, because they are small dogs, but with a great personality inside, like a Great Dane. So I think it was kind of, okay, my father died in 92. My mother was a little bit upset to continuing to breed alone without my father, because you know, when you do something together, then it's kind of end. So it was also for me some new goal to go for this breed, and this was how we are now more involved with Chihuahuas since 95, 96. In 96 we married, so it's almost 25 years. But I repeat, my wife started even 11 years before in Finland. So she already had a quite big kennel in Finland. And of course, she brought some dogs when she moved to Italy, and we continuing with their basis.
Okay. Can you share some of the success you have had with your dogs?
Well, I think we had a lot of success, what a lot of best in show, and I think it was really, you know, England has always been, even if the standard of the Chihuahua is owned by Mexico, but England has always been a strong country for this breed. So I think when we got the first English champion with the dog bred by my wife, Misty Meadows Donald Duck, was a really great achievement, and he was we started to show him at Crafts. He was reserve CC, and then one of the historical breeder there in England asked to my wife to leave him there for a while, and we agreed. And then he was he got 3 CC in a row, so it was a very easily English champion, and that was really a really nice. And of course, then we had I think I don't even remember, I could say, but I think we have around 30 world winners, and same European winners, many best in show winners, and then we have exported our breeding around the world, and we have champions bred by us in all continents, and this is also something nice. And we had best in show at the national specialty in 2000, if I remember right, with one Chihuahua from us, and that was also a very nice result we got. So I think really, I think it was and still it is the good reason to continuing to go on with breeding, because you know, when you start to be successful, then it's you are much more under the light, and to maintain the level, it is not so easy. So it's now with 35 years and even more that we are breeding dogs, and still we can say that the level is there, the same level is there.
One question that I always ask when I speak with the breeder and the judge: what do you enjoy more, breeding or judging, and why?
Well, I always say, and I will say also publicly, if I had to decide one of these things, then I will go for breeding. I'm a breeder, so I grow up as a breeder, so breeding is number one for me, absolutely. Then come judging, which I enjoy a lot because it is, I don't know, I can't explain how it is so wonderful to be inside the ring and to judge, even maybe if you find 1, 2, or 3 dogs during the day, and you are judging 85, 90 dogs, but it is something that gives you so big emotion, so much pleasure. So this is what I really like, and also to go around the world and to see what is going on in other countries. Of course, in each country you can find different quality in different breeds, so it is really interesting. And then judging is, of course, also helping you in breeding, because you can see much more, you can have a much more open mind, and going deeply, because as a judge you have the duty to study the breed like your own breed, because you are the guide for the breeder, I have to say. So if you do this in very good way, in serious way, as we should do, this is hard work.
Okay.
And then exhibiting, well, I have to say that I also I miss many times the time when I could be to talk around the shows with my friends, to have a fun, because you know, when you are a judge, then you can talk with anybody. You have to be really in your own side, and even because you are also a breeder, you have been also an exhibitor, so you know everybody, and it is really sad in a way.
Yeah.
But of course I have to obey, because we have rules, and I want to obey to rules. But every now and then I miss also the exhibiting part, even if I have to say that I really prefer when our dogs are shown. I have never been a good handler, I have to say, because I'm quite nervous. When I go inside the ring as an exhibitor, I'm very nervous. When I go inside the ring as a judge, I'm never nervous. So it is also some kind of different personality I have in these two situations. But I prefer, for example, to be seated on beside the ring and see my daughter, Sarah, or my wife showing our breeding, or even enjoy seated on the PC or waiting during the weekend results from abroad for from our puppy buyers that are they are showing our dogs, and this is fantastic. It's a great emotion, I have to say. It's unbelievable. Sometimes you are there and you know that you have maybe this dog in America is going inside the ring, and then there is another one in Russia, and then there is another one I don't know where. But this is really exciting, and it happens, I have to say, almost every weekend. So I enjoy my exhibiting part in this way.
Okay, I understood. Very nice. Look, you mentioned about your wife.
Yes.
Let me go a little bit deeper. You know, Italian breed standards for dogs are very detailed and precise, and as a consequence, Italian breeders, they're generally very, very scrupulous. I mean, they really take care all about the details. And Finnish people are also very much the same, and they are very talented breeders. So, as such, does having a Finnish wife and you being Italian contribute to the success of your breeding program?
I think that I have to say that my wife is the brain in the breed.
Your wife listening the live now, or?
Is the brain in the
Yeah.
breed, and she's the one who has knowledge about breeding and strictness, which is typical of the Finns. Finns are people that are quite shy, and they don't talk just to talk. They talk for a reason. And this is my wife. So I think this combination between Latin and Scandinavia is amazing because we are in the opposite sides, and we can compensate each other in a way. So my wife has taught to me a lot of things. My wife helped me to go abroad. She was the one that arranged my first invitation in Finland, and I have to say that since that time I started to be quite popular in Scandinavia. So I really have to say that without her, I could not be here. So this is the truth.
You know, I think that we will record this video and show it to your wife for sure.
Mhm.
Okay, so you mentioned also that your daughters are also showing dogs, right?
Yes, both of my daughters are in love with dogs, but Sophia, the first one, she's a dog, absolutely a dog person. She has a beautiful eye, because sometimes she likes, even now she's living in France, and when she's calling by web camera, the first thing that she asks to us is to watch the dogs. So she's really in love with dogs, but she has never liked the dog shows.
Ah,
The other one, Sarah, uh, it's the one that really likes the dog shows, and she has been involved since she was a teenager, even before. So she did a lot of junior handling, and in very good level, because also she was in very high position during the competition in Italy, and she has always liked to show herself dogs. She has a very natural talent. She's elegant, a bit, she got this kind of behavior of her mom. So she's not talking too much. She's always in her side. She's always putting the dogs in as a principal protagonist of the scene, and never herself. And I really like what, of course, she has done, what she do with the dogs, and then she was the one that started, because since some years we are also breeding English pointers, and this is I can say that is my daughter breeding, because she was the one that wanted her own breed. And I think, okay, I'm sure she loves Chihuahua, but she wanted to do something different. So she pushed a bit or a lot mother and father to have her own breed. Okay, Tula, my wife, had already English pointers many years ago, but Sarah was really deciding to have her own breed, and she's of course putting her nose in the choice of breeding pointers. So of course she can listen us, but the last decision is her decision, and I like it. I have to say. So she has her, her own identity in our dog family. So she's pointer lady.
Yeah, it's
Young lady.
dog family. Yeah.
Yes.
It sounds very much on a dog family. Look, as we have a lot of breeders in this group, and I'm sure that they're watching our live, let's go a little bit to the basics
Yes.
in order to provide the real information for them. So, can you explain the different concepts of breeding? I mean, like line breeding, inbreeding, and outcross breeding. Can you let
Yeah.
us know a little bit of knowledge?
Yeah. Well, Tula and I, we have also worked for so many years in line breeding. I have to say that in most of the breeds, and especially in toy breeds, the breeding is not so easy. And if we talk, for example, about Chihuahua, Chihuahua is one of the most difficult breeds. Why? Because the dogs are small, and more difficult it is the capacity to breed the sound dogs. And of course, soundness is the first element in breeding. So to breed sound, a sound Chihuahua, which is around 2 or maximum 3 kilos, is not an easy thing. And then, of course, there are a lot of different types, and in most of the breeds the gene pool is very small. And why I say that? Because I think that we don't have so many different bloodlines. And when I talk about bloodline, I mean same line in 7, 8, 9, 10 generation, which is not easy to find, even because it means a long work in breeding, many years of breeding, and also you have to have some quantity, because to get results, I mean, unfortunately, or you need also quantity. If you breed, of course, 1 or 2 liters per year, it's much more difficult than if you breed 10 liters per year, because you can for sure have more possibility to get some nice dogs. So we decided to go to line breeding, and we breed in line breeding. And because I said to you, we want a certain type, which is for us the type that has given to us this success in so many years, because we have bred so many champions. So, and to breed, to go in outcross, we have tried, because of course every now and then you need to have something new to put inside some new blood, because it happens that after many years you are working in line breeding, then the line breeding become too close, and you need to put something new. But to go in outcross is very difficult, because if you don't know the faults of the dog, of the line, it's better to talk about the line. If you don't know so well the line, because unfortunately not all breeders want to say their own problems, and this is a big problem, because I think only few breeders can say, no breeders have perfect dogs. I mean, so in each bloodline there is for sure some fault, some common fault, that if we could all share the faults that we could have, in that case maybe you could work much more in outcross. But when you don't know what is behind, what is in the background of the male or of the female that you are using, it's very dangerous. And even I have to say that another thing is that when you are breeding in line breeding with your own line, you can easily understand how the development of the puppies will be, because you know so much well your own line. And then when the puppies are 7-8 weeks, you already have a clear idea of how it will develop in the future. Without cross, sometime, you know, I remember me and my wife, when we put some new blood from America inside, and we bought an American dog. Then when we saw the puppies at 7-8 weeks, we were shocked and said, oh my God, they look like Labradors. But it was not like this, because it was, you know, another kind of development.
All right.
Then for what concerning the inbreeding, this is very, very dangerous if you don't have a very good knowledge, deep knowledge of the dogs from father and mother side, at least 5 or 6 generations, because you can really get some bad surprise. So I think inbreeding is better to avoid, or you can try to do it, but if you have a really long knowledge and long experience in breeding, and if you know what is behind these 2 dogs that you want to mate.
Does it like, you know, if we talk about the related dogs, how close you would go, or you would recommend to go?
Well,
like grandfather, you know.
Yeah, well, it depends also. For example, you should check both sides in the pedigree of the dogs. I mean, and sometimes grandfather, it's fine. But of course, you have also to know how, if, because for me, when you are doing this more tight line breeding, you have to be sure also that the dogs are healthy, because you could get the risk to, for example, to get some illness if they are not healthy, because it is kind the line breeding, the risk more is tight and more you get out good and bad points. So good points, of course, we are all happy, but bad points you can get easily. So we have done grandfather. We try always to check both sides of the pedigrees, and of course, with some dogs that we are really sure we can do also grandfather and or a grandmother. We can do this combination, but otherwise we don't do. We have done in the past also half brother and sister because we wanted something good, but really these dogs, and we got really something good, but as I said already, we knew what was behind these two dogs since 20 years, so many generations back, and but I think what I don't like is to see mixing pedigrees. I mean, as I said in the beginning, type are so many in Chihuahuas. We are talking now about Chihuahuas, but I can talk about also Poodles, and I can talk about English Pointers, and I can talk about Jack Russell. I can talk about Boston Terrier and Dobermans, the breeds that I have bred myself. So you have to be careful. Don't use dogs with so much different bloodlines and so much different types, because you will never get anything, or you will need ages to get something.
Okay. Just a short interruption. Guys that you are watching the live now, if you would have any questions, you please write a comment and we will cover the questions after our main interview. So don't hesitate, be active, please use the chance. So now let's say you mentioned about the line breeding, right? That you're using the line breeding to maintain the type. After how long, in general, do you need to do the outcross breeding to introduce some new blood, or you don't?
Yeah, but yes, when, for example, you just said it, when you have your stock that is become quite close, so you don't have any possibility, for example, that you are obliged to mate father and daughter, or father and grandson, something like that. So when you are coming so close in both sides, then it's time to put something new. But it's also time to do your to pray God that you will be lucky to get something that will match well with your own bitches or your male. So you need to put new blood, and this is a very delicate time, because you can, if you do a mistake, you can destroy a work of so many years. So you have to be really careful in what you do. And this is why, because behind a breeder, a good breeder, must be always knowledge. And I think also, in my opinion, that doesn't mean that to read pedigrees and to see this is a champion, this is a multi-champion, and this is as won there, this is as, but you should have more deep knowledge. You should have seen yourself the dogs. You should have visited the breeders. You should have talked with the breeders to try to catch by them what are the problems in their own breeding. And sometimes I think a clever breeder must say the truth if really they want also the truth back from when is or she is asking to somebody else to help. So it is a really difficult situation, and I think the honesty is always helping you. Even if you want to keep your name good, you must be honest and say, okay, my breeding, this you could have this and this problem, or what we say all the time when we want a new male or a new bitches, we would like to find something of some new dog that has this and this and this, that are probably the soft points we have in our breeding. So we have to find some strong points from this new blood that we want.
Okay. But if you use like completely different, I mean, the dog doesn't have the genetic similarities, and you use completely different stud, can you give us
Yeah,
some tips? What factors you should consider when you're choosing the stud dog?
yeah. Well, we are going first of all we are looking for well-known breeders that have a good name, and we are looking for somebody that is working in line breeding like us. So it's important to ask to somebody who has a strong background in their pedigrees. I mean, of course, I don't want I will never buy a new, for example, a new male where in the pedigree you can find 10, 12 different bloodlines, or even unknown dogs or unknown bloodlines. We all know what are in the dog world the lines that are giving good results, and so we try to ask to this kind of people. I mean, so of course it's very important that you go to a breeder that is working in the same way of you. I mean, so has a bit the same idea and want us the same goal of you. So this is the way to choose.
Okay. Well, it's a yeah, it's good answer. You know, you need to go to the people they have the same vision as you have, right?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So, for the benefits of our viewers, some of them are not so well experienced breeders, and maybe kind of we can say the beginners and quite new.
Yes.
When you decide to breed a female, what are the factors you consider in choosing the right stud dog?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we already said that this is quite clear. We will go to watch the pedigree of this male. We will try to check if the male has been already used and what he has produced. And second, which is not second, but other point very important is to find a dog that probably is covering the faults of the beach. I mean, if you have a beach that has a really sound construction, of course, which is the main point in a brood beach, sound in construction, and so good mover. Of course, and maybe she has, for example, a plain head. You will go and check and try to find a male which for sure has soundness, because this is the thing that must be always there, but you will give more importance to find a male that has a very good head to improve the head of your beach. So it's there are different things. The work that is in the pedigree of the male that you are choosing, what he has already produced. Because for me, results are not so important, because then you can find, for example, multi-champion and of some countries that are quite easy countries to get champion titles. So for me, the titles doesn't has not so important primary importance, but background and covering fault of your beach, it's very important.
All right, it's very clear. Breeders, they say that breeding dogs, involves a lot of study and research, but luck is also a very important factor.
For
Would you
sure.
agree that the best planned matings can sometimes not yield the result you seek?
Yes, but this is for sure. I think you need many ingredients when you are breeding, and for sure, I can say that knowledge is very important, and then you must have a good eye, which is not which is more a gift than related with knowledge. Of course, bases are very important. So you, as a breeder, also you have to know a little about anatomy and the main things in a dog. I mean, you have to be able to see if the dog is well constructed, if the dog has a good head, if the type is there, and many other things. So, of course, not in the same deep level as a judge, but you need anyway to have a knowledge about theoretical and anatomy of the dog. But then is luck, and then also your instinct instinct, which is very important. I think sometimes you have a kind of natural instinct, and if you are because it's kind of sensitive thing you have inside, and you feel it's like you close your eyes and you say, okay, this beach, I close your eyes and think about her construction, her head, and then what you would like to put inside, to mix, to do smash these two dogs, and then do a new the right one. And so this is also very important. Luck, it is absolutely important in breeding, but it is not the priority. It is not the first point, or of course doesn't you don't need, you is not sufficient to have only luck. Luck without knowledge has no sense.
Yeah, you have to create the environment for the luck, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, you have to put the basis, the right basis, and then with a bit of luck, then you have this surplus. But this is what I can say luck can give to you.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the mistakes, because it's I think there are always mistakes or some faults
Mhm.
in breeding. So what kind of the faults can be forgiven in choosing a stud or deciding to breed a bitch, and what faults simply cannot be forgiven?
Well, my wife and I, we always agree that soundness must be there. So we never keep any dog at home, and I think that is quite easy now for us, because we don't have really big problems when we breed our dogs in getting soundness. So soundness must be always there. And of course, I think I can forgive in brood bitches a plain head, because a brood bitch has not to be always of a show bitch. It's kind of two separate things. So you can have your breeding stock, and then you can have your showing stock.
Okay.
So in a beach, I can forgive a plain head, a little plain head, a little bit long muscle. This is a kind, but of course, bones, soundness, movement has to be there. We all know as a breeders that construction, to breed a good construction, you need 10 generation, maybe even you don't are not enough 10 generation, and to breed a good head, to correct head, you need maybe 1, 2, maximum 3 generations. So we have also to think about it, which if I have to sacrifice something, I will sacrifice a head, because I can still breed with a plain head, but I can't breed with an unsound bitch.
All right. Okay. So is the bitch more influential in breeding or the stud dog?
Well, somebody say that the bitches line are very important. They are influencing a lot the breeding. But I'm not so sure about it. I don't think this is true, because I think that if I go and see our experience, I can say that we have had really important brood bitches that have given beautiful puppies using different studs. And in the other hand, we have had great stud dogs that have given always beautiful puppies, even with bitches that didn't have so much strong background, and they were not the perfection. So this it's the consequence is that there are, in my opinion, not a real something that is. It depends of the quality of the gene of the stud of the bitch. If they have this strong gene, they are carrying this good gene, they will produce, and doesn't matter if it's a bitch or if it's a dog. So I don't so much believe to the theories of somebody that are saying that is much more important the bitches line than the males, because for what we have seen in these years of breeding, it is not like that.
Okay. So I think more and more people, if they're not breeders, they want to start doing breeding. So, you know, for those who someone starts in breeding and or eventually breed, is it more important that they get a bitch from a very dominant line rather than a stud dog?
Yeah.
Or what things they should look for the lines when buying a puppy?
I think what I suggest is to go to a breeder that has a clear way to breed. In my opinion, that is working in line breeding with a strong line. And I think for me, it doesn't matter. They should think in this way. Sometimes newcomers are looking too much to the price, so they are going for a cheaper puppy. But then I always say, but come on, it's better to spend €1,000 more and then to be more sure and have less risk about the development of the puppy, because if there is a strong work behind, you will have less risk that the puppy will be a pet growing. So you should also think about this. And I think also it is very important to have this strong basis when you start, because if you start with the wrong in the wrong step, then it will be really long to go back and to go in the right direction. So it's important for male or female to start with a line with a good a line that give guarantee that there is a real work behind in their background.
Okay.
And it's easy nowadays if you think, because it was probably much more difficult 30 years ago when it was not internet and where people needed to go and to check or to read. But nowadays it's quite easy if you use your brain and if you are an humble person, because unfortunately I have to say that some of the newcomers, they think they know everything the day after they buy the dog. So this is really to start in a wrong step, and you will never go so far in breeding if you don't put your hand down and you don't listen a mentor or somebody that has experience and can teach something. This is what I advise to everybody. Find your mentor, listen your mentor, and ask questions. Go to visit breeders, go to see yourself dogs, be seated behind the rings, check what is going on, and close your mouth and open your ears.
Yeah, I think that it's very good tip that everyone, they should find a mentor. They should not be afraid of asking the questions. They should
Exactly.
be active very much in this, breeding and kinology environment. Well, very good tip. Thank you very much.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
it is also said, and there's quite common questions in kinology nowadays, that it's said that not all correct or top like winning dogs produce a good progeny. Generally, like how many times would you breed a bitch or a stud dog before you decide that they are not producing what you want and then leave them out of breeding program? And what factors do you consider in making this decision?
Yeah, but listen to me. For example, when you go to judge, when as a breeder, you are a bit influenced when you are judging, because you are watching the dogs much more like a breeder than like a judge. But you have and this is quite difficult, I mean, because you have to learn to divide these two things. One thing is judging, so one thing is breeding. So sometime you know what you can do. You can give best of breed to a dog that you will never take it at home, but maybe you could take at home the number 2 or the number 3, because they have they, you see much more potential for breeding in them. I mean, sometimes, of course, you can have a dog that has a lot of things that are correct, but they miss a little bit of bone, they miss a little bit of substance, they miss a little bit of this and that, and they probably could miss something that is much more appreciated in breeding. than in showing. For this reason, as I said before, sometimes you have to have two different stocks, one stock for breeding and one stock for showing. So it's true what you said, that most of the time the top winners are not always the best producers, and it happens just because of the reason I tried, and I hope people understood what I was meaning.
Okay, okay. So it means that sometimes it's not necessarily to use the top winning dog,
Exactly.
but it's better to go and find, the sire the one who produced the dog.
Exactly. Also, that can happen, and because, for example, uh, as you are right, that also can happen. That there is a dog that is winning best in show after best in show, and then you go to use him, but probably the sire of that has produced 20, 30 champions. So why to go after champion titles? You go after breed points and see who is the one who gives good things. But I said this culture to breed champion with champion. For example, if I have to say something, we are not showing so much our bitches. We prefer to show ourselves more males. But believe me, we have in the kennel bitches that could be champion very easily, but we have never shown her because, for example, in long coat, if you breed and then they lose the coat, to put them in condition is quite long, and then bitches are not have not the same quantity of coat if we are talking about coat breed like a long coat Chihuahua or Poodle or breed that are coated dogs. They can be not in condition, and then when they go into season they can change the hormone system, they can be more hysterical or more sensitive. So anyway, we prefer to show males, but
Oh, okay.
so that is why I say why to go and see what they do in the shows. You should see something else. As you said, maybe the sire of these top winners is the one that is good for breeding because has given the result of this son. So very correct.
Okay, I think that for those who are listening very carefully, they got a very nice tip here. Let's go a little bit further, and we have a question about the frozen semen. Do you
Yes.
believe in frozen semen and like keeping the semen of your top dogs for the future generation, or you do believe a little bit more like what is around, this is around, and you don't believe in frozen semen?
No, well, honestly, we are talking a lot about to collect frozen semen in from many years, but okay, Italy is not so easy because we don't have so nowadays more and more, but we didn't have this culture before to conserve to freeze the semen, and we thought many times to do, but it was now you can find also in our region quite close to our kennel in here in Rome. But before, for example, you had to go to the north of Italy, so it was not an easy thing. But I believe in frozen semen, especially, of course, not for all, but especially for some special stud. It's for sure important to freeze the semen. I believe on it.
Have you ever?
We have used frozen semen
Okay.
for our English pointers, and but okay, because also it's also important for some big breeds. I mean, it's much easier to travel to travel with Chihuahua in the cabin. It's easy to go to mate, but try to go with the English pointer. You have to put it in the cargo, and of course it's also very expensive, and so sometimes you use it, you need it. So I'm totally in favor, but it was not so easy the way to collect the semen since some years ago. Now it's much easier, and we always say we do okay, but then or I think we are also sometimes lazy. But I totally agree
On frozen.
Yes.
Okay. Francesco, we have some questions, if you don't mind.
Of
We have
course.
the questions from our listeners, and one of the question is that, is there anything special you do in preparing a bitch to be a bred? What about the stud dog? Do you do anything special to them?
Well, there is not any. I think there is. Of course, if you go to mate the bitch outside, and you have to travel, you don't use your own male, and you have to travel. I always suggest, of course, to do a progesterone test to check if the bitch is in the right moment to be bred, because I think it's quite expensive to travel, and then to come back with an empty beach. So I could be more careful, especially when I go to use an outside dog and I have to travel to do every check. And otherwise, there is not any special preparation you have to do. Of course, everything you have to do is before to breed the bitch. So to check the genetic problems in the breed. So you must do this because we have to breed beauty together with healthy.
Yeah.
They must be exactly in the same level. So of course you have to do this, but just I suggest doing progesterone, which is a blood test that you can do easily, and you can get the result to be sure that when you go, you will go in the right moment, and you have less risk that the beach is empty.
Okay. Is there anything to do with the stud dog? I mean,
Sorry.
preparation?
Well,
Preparation for stud dog?
of course, the stud dog. I think if you have, you should have asked and check everything we have already said. So you will for sure went to check his pedigree, and of course you will ask the same genetic test you have done for the beach. Of course, you have to ask if if the stud dog will do a natural mating, or it will be inseminated, the bitch, which is also important to ask. But this is what you have to ask. Of course, that if he has mated the other bitches, will be much more easy, because of course then some dogs, some male, can be a little bit more difficult, especially with females that are coming from outside. But this is what you should verify before.
Okay. Is it wrong to assist the dog during the mating process? Or like if they cannot do it naturally?
You must
Must.
assist the dog.
Okay.
Of course, it is a
You have to
must.
interface.
And this is the most beautiful moment in the life of a breeder
Correct.
to wait the moment when the puppies are born and when the bitch is whelping. It's a must, especially in the breeds, in the toy breeds, especially in some breeds, brachycephal, that have a little bit more problem in breeding, and maybe they need more help than others. Maybe they need the C-section. If you don't assist during the whelping, you will never be able to okay, my wife is saying now that you are talking about mating, so I probably miss your
It's
question.
fine. It both
Yeah, but
questions.
that is when they are whelping, and when they are mating, you should never do. You should keep the bitch always.
Yeah.
And also for me, you must assist them because especially the male has to be also controlled.
Okay.
Bitches must be kept because they could be damage themselves if they do free, and we prefer to do it because that we want that if we have some outside beaches, our male is mating when we want and not when he wants. So if he's used to us, it will be very automatically to have a successful mating when people is coming from outside. You think come somebody from 2,000 kilometers to mate their bitch, and then the male is not used to be guided, as we can say like that, from the breeders, then it will be a mess because you will need ages. So it's better always to teach to male that this is the time to mating. They know exactly what we do. We have our Luca, Orlando Furioso, who is living at home, that when he see us with the bitch in our arms, he immediately asks to jump on the table because he knows perfectly what he will do. And this is the easiest way to do.
Okay. So actually, in both ways, in whelping or in mating, you can interface, right?
Yes, of
You are not
course.
your ideology is not saying that it should be no interface.
No. It is our duty as a breeders to do that. We have to assist everything we do because they are not human. And then I said to you many things. We have to think about many things. If you have to do a mating, mating must be done in that moment you want, not when they decide to
Yeah,
do.
exactly. How many litters maximum do you usually breed your bitches?
Usually, we breed our bitches 5 times if we do not need any C-section. Because if we need to do C-section, we usually do maximum 3 C-section. But in the case our vets say that the utero is not in condition, in good condition, then we do also even 1 or 2 C-section, and then we stop to breed. If they are whelping in easy way, 5 times.
Okay, 5 times, 3 and then 5. All right.
Yeah. We usually don't breed when bitches that are over 7 years. So usually 7 years is the maximum age of our bitches are used in breeding.
All right. Few more questions coming up from our listeners. One is that there are many methods in determining when the bitch is ready to whelp. What is the one you do in your kennel? How to determine when the bitch is ready to whelp?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
There are many methods in
Mm,
determining when a bitch is ready to whelp, right?
yes.
What is the one you use in your kennel?
Well, usually, okay, when we make the beach, then we write in the calendar, we count 60 days. I have to say that after so many years, we understand when the beach is ready from her expression, or they started to have, some little sign that they are a bit more nervous. They try to scratch the newspaper, or they are a little bit more nervous than usual. What I can suggest for the beginners maybe is to check the temperature, because when they are close to be to breathe to whelp, the temperature is going quite down, so it's going close to 37 or even under 37, and then this can be a sign, of course. And then of course some of the beaches can't have problem in eating, but this is not real the sign that you can trust 100%, because we had also beaches that they were eating during the whelping. So
Right.
there are many things that you can check. Probably the temperature is one of these, and of course you could also try to control the progesterone with a blood test. The level of the progesterone is saying if the beach is ready or not to whelp.
Okay.
But I think with experience they will learn to understand themselves. You can see you can see they change their expression, so you read in your eyes that they are quite close to one.
Okay. One more question is coming up. Let me translate this to English. Do you scan your females to confirm that they are in whelp, or do you do X-ray? Is it
we
important?
well we do X-ray. Most we do X-ray, especially when the bitch is starting the first whelping the first time, more because of checking the size of the puppies, and to see how many puppies are, and which is the size of the puppies, and to see if the puppies can go through in natural way. And we do that 2 or 3 days, or not over 3 days, to the deadline of the pregnancy. So we do more X-ray, and we can do also how you say the echo, the how you call in English, the scan,
Yeah.
when for example we have used frozen semen from abroad. And then, of course, we are very curious, and we want to see that everything is fine. And we do that when they after 3 weeks of pregnancy, you can do before. So you have to wait to wait at least 3 weeks. But this is much more for curiosity. It doesn't help so much, just that you know that the mating went well and the bitch is pregnant. But it is more important to do an X-ray 3 days before whelping to check if the vet can measure the head of the puppies, if it will pass, it will pass, and then you know also when the female finish her whelp, because you know exactly. Sometimes if you don't do X-ray, you can ask and say, did she has another puppy or not? There is another puppy or not? And sometimes you know, because especially in the toy breeds, in small breeds, um, after the whelp, after the uterus is coming bigger. So if you go and to use your hand to check, it can be the utero, and then you confuse this bigger utero with another puppy, and there is not another puppy. So it's better also to do the X-ray to know exactly the number of the puppies she's carrying on.
Simple but very beneficial tip. Thank you for that. And probably the last question, one of our viewers is texting that I know that toy dogs are different to giant breeds, but in general, what age would you start to breed your bitches? And what about the stud dogs? So maybe you can like differentiate the small breed and large breed or something like.
I think small breeds are much more fast to mature than big breeds.
Right.
And for this reason, because also I think small breeds, they really need to be bred a bit before than the big breeds. Especially really small breeds like Pomerania or Chihuahua or something like that, because they have this more elastic, how you say, it's better to start at second or maximum third season to start to breed them, and then to stop to breed, as I said to you, when they are around 7 years. So if you count around from 15 months, 18 months, this is the best for me time to start to breed with the toy breed.
Yes.
With the big breeds, then it's a bit different, because they are developing a little bit more slowly comparing with comparing toy breeds. In that case, I suggest to wait at least 2 years or a little bit more over 2 years before breeding them with them.
The same bitch and the same for stud.
Yes, well, stud, because you know, in some we don't have, for example, in my country, in Italy, we don't have any inferior limit. I mean, in the age to start breeding with a stud, but in some country they do. Probably because they want some genetic test, like for example, patella luxation, and you don't do it before the dog is 12 months. So this I understand. Otherwise, if there is not any limitation because of genetic tests, I don't see any reason why don't start when the stud is ready to start, and they are ready. We had an accident years ago, one male 7 months, that we were laughing, ha ha ha, he will never, and then he put the bitch that he mated was pregnant. So and puppies were beautiful. One of these puppies from this male of 7 months was a world champion. So that is why to have limitation with males. But I understand, I repeat, I understand, because in some of the countries, the limitation could be because of genetic tests, and then I understand the reason. Or for example, in poodles, you can't use a male until in Italy, we must confirm the size of the poodles, and that can be done before the dog is 12 months. In that case, you can't, of course, you can breed, but so probably this can be the reason, but not other reason, I mean.
Okay. So I think that we've done an outstanding conversation for our viewers. You know, Francesco, you mentioned one thing, the mentor is extremely important, and how many valuable knowledge you gave it to us today. You know, if there were anyone who were thinking to breed or not to breed, or, you know, to evolve a little deeply in this kinology, after today's conversation, they definitely probably going to be more motivated and enthusiastic to start doing this. So
I hope so that it happens. And what I want to say, sometimes I want to say to people, don't do the mistakes to listen 10 different versions. You should choose your mentor, and you have to follow your instinct, and to follow one person that has good experience, but without listening other people. Or of course you can listen, but then you have to keep your you have to be sure of what you will do. You have to work for having your own opinion. And if you listen to many people, you will work ages for having your opinion. So be careful in what you are doing.
have your path, right? Have
Yeah.
your way and have your good mentor. Well, this was really, really amazing. I would like to thank you very much for you and for your wife that she was giving you some tips and your brain
Yes.
breathing. Uh, thank you from all the House of Torah team, and goodbye and have a nice evening.
Thank you
So
very much. And I hope we will meet alive soon. And I think we have always to say that this great passion of that we have for our dog is one of the most beautiful thing we got, and we must always remember that they are the true protagonists of the scene. So we have to say thank you to them, and have a nice evening, and thank you again for your interview.
I think that now we can call it like Cochetti dynasty, because it started from your parents. Now you and your daughters are also involved. So it's not going to be like just
Let's hope that it will continuing like
yeah.
that. I will be happy, but my daughter, both daughters, even Sarah, that is more involved in dogs, of course, they are really free to decide what they think is right to do in their future. They will never be pushed by me or my wife. Never.
Good. Great to hear. Great to hear. So thank you very much once again, guys. Let's stay tuned for our next interview. And adios, до свидания, and goodbye.
Ciao. Bye.
Ciao, bye.
Bye.